My guest today is Benjamin Ross. Would you like to tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Benjamin Ross. I'm a photographer based in Medway. My work primarily looks at social issues and community representation, and I also work in the community sector within Medway as well.
Fantastic. So, would you like to start this conversation about the arts in the Medway area? And then we're going to contrast this with what we think the arts needs, not just in the Medway area, but beyond that.
Yeah, so I think within Medway we've got such a huge creative network. We're a really creative area, and I think we've got so much heritage and culture embedded within a kind of like community here. It works perfect. From the arts conference we have here with obviously Hornborough and Kent Arts Conference, we have Medway Open Studios. We've got a photography festival launching next month as well. We've got huge range of creators that work all around in Chatham, and then obviously the larger field in Medway as well. And I think it's quite unified as well. There are a lot of creatives supporting creators, which is what's good to see as well. Quite often creators are so used to working solo and on their own, they kind of forget that there's wider networks of creatives, which is why in Medway it works so well, because we kind of branch off of each other and we support each other as well.
I think this is why it's really exciting and refreshing to see this in the Medway area, because this is what I've noticed. And having run our conference in the Canterbury area, this was exactly what was missing. And it's really lovely to see people coming together. So why do you think Medway is pushing ahead compared to other parts of Kent?
I couldn't fully explain why. I think we are an area filled with heritage and culture. There's such a huge history to Medway. We've got Chatham Historic Dockyard, but obviously when that closed down 42 years ago, Medway was left almost stranded and no one really knew what to happen. And I think through that, community was formed and people started supporting each other, and that kind of like historical concept and idea of community suddenly came back because the area needed it. And I think we've been lucky in Medway. We used to have KAIAD, and we had University for Creative Arts here. So the art scenes in Medway have always been thriving. There's been an art school in Medway probably since 1800, something like that. And obviously, once UCA closed down, Medway School of Arts opened as well. So it kind of kept that continuing art school kind of basis in Medway. And artists are still continuing to come from Medway as well, which is good to see. We're not having people come in, we're having people go out, and it's thriving as well. So I think that kind of unified education aspect of Medway is always kept the creators local. But I think people have the opportunity to express themselves in Medway. There's no judgment and bits like that. So creators can really thrive with their work because they've got the space to do so.
Well, that's really fantastic to hear. Now, I know you've started a very exciting little project of your own. Would you like to tell us about that?
Yeah, so I've recently launched a podcast called The Space Between Us. So it's an audio and video recorded podcast that people can watch and listen. And it's all about creating a platform for people in Medway to share their voice. There's so many amazing things happening in Medway and so many stories and kind of backgrounds that we don't often get to hear about. And I think online now, there's so many accounts and everything. So it's kind of difficult to see what everyone's up to. So by creating a unified platform, The Space Between Us, it creates that open space to have a conversation for us to learn about who you are, what you do, and how you support Medway. So whether you live or work in Medway, it's a platform for everyone to come and kind of share their voice.
Wow. And what are you actually hoping to achieve in the longer term with a project like this?
I think it's about, backing up Medway. Medway gets a lot of slander, it gets a lot of backlash and bits like that. And people don't stop to think about what's really happening within the towns. Yes, there's bad parts. I'm going to admit that. You ask the council, they'd admit that as well. That there's so many good things that are going forgotten and not looked at. So by creating this project, I'm hoping to create a unified kind of platform for us all and to create a space where people can thrive and also support these kind of creators and these individual representatives. So I'll be having organisations, charities, artists, healthcare workers, everyone come together. And by that, hopefully we can share what they do and people might be able to go over to them and learn a bit more about them or almost hire them or, get their services.
So what would you say grassroots projects like these can change within the arts section or the artistic community of Medway? Or what would you like to see change?
I think it's creating that platform. And for me, I'd like to see a change in how we further support each other. We often work together as creators, but we never understand the backstory of it. So I recently filmed my first podcast last week. And the guy I had on, Kieran Paul from Rubbish Idea, I've known him for 3 years and I probably could never have told you how he got to where he was now. So for me, as the interviewer, I'm learning a little bit more about who I'm interviewing, but also that means that the general people who are listening are going to learn a little bit more about it as well. And, we've got some amazing artists in Medway, and a lot of, the artist community will know who you talk about when you mention a specific artist. But no one can probably tell you how they got to where they are now and the kind of projects they've done that didn't go wrong, but those projects have inspired their current project.
I think you've hit the nail right on the head, Ben, because obviously it's about starting a conversation, but more importantly, it's also about listening and making sure that everybody is, I suppose, on the same page as everybody else. Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, we look forward to seeing you again this July at the KArtsCon conference. And thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Good to speak to you.